Hello, this is Jason, back with another walk and talk, and I got the Action 5 on my fanny pack. Let me lock in a active track on here. There we go. And it's a beautiful day here in the Austin, Texas area. It's nice being back from the tropical paradise of snow and clouds that is known as Ohio. But I had a good time while I was there and didn't spend time recording videos or editing videos. I just hung out with family and friends, mostly with my mom. And we just lounged around the house, watched Netflix and YouTube. I would do my normal daily routine of watching Bangkok videos. And so I'm sure she got her fill of Bangkok videos. Hopefully she still will watch mine when I make them. But one thing I didn't do while I was there was exercise, so gonna get back into it. And I've got less than a week until I'm going to Bangkok, so not too much I could do about fitness level in a week, but still gonna get out and walk and loosen the legs up, because there will be a lot of walking in Bangkok, that's for sure. I plan to deeply explore the whole city. Most of the times when people go to Thailand, they'll fly into Bangkok, they might stay there a day or two, and then they fly off to Koh Samui or Phuket or Chiang Mai or any of the other islands, or Krabi. Like, there's so many beautiful places to explore in Thailand, and I hope to do that someday. But this next trip is just whether I would want to set up base in Bangkok. And maybe if I get there, and this won't happen, but if I get to Bangkok and I hate it, like after being there a week, there's nothing stopping me from going to all those places I named. I could still do that if I wanted to. I'd lose out on some Airbnb money, but I could still do it. But I have a feeling that I'm going to really like Bangkok. And this is kind of just to get the feeling if I want to live there or not. So, looking forward to it. So the main topic, or at least a large topic of this video, is about, I guess, options, especially options. So, a lot of my recent videos have been about MicroStrategy, and right around the time when Trump got elected, I knew that Bitcoin was just going to go up. That's what I talked about in those videos. You don't believe me? Go watch them. And that did happen. And so to capitalize on that play, where I was holding Bitcoin ETFs in my Roth IRA account, I decided to switch to, first I decided to switch over to MicroStrategy, which is like a 1.5 or 2x play on Bitcoin. And I held that for from the 5th to maybe about a week. And then I switched over. I bought some leaps, which are long dated call options that are dated for over a year. And hold on, my pack needs tightening. So I kept wanting to leverage up more and more. So I bought stocks, that's 2x leverage. And then I'm like, oh man, I'm going to get some options. So I got long dated options, which are like over a year, which are the safest options there are, because really the risk in options is that there's an expiration date on them. So if they are not profitable by the time the expiration date comes around, they will expire. Like, you'll have to take a loss, sell them for loss, and that's the risk of options. And I knew that was the risk. Hold on. So pardon the interruption. And so, yeah, what makes options so risky is expiration date. And so first I bought long dated options over a year out expiration date. So as long as MicroStrategy went up in the next year, you're safe. But those have, those are probably, four or five times leverage of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin, 4 to 5 times the return of Bitcoin. But it could also be 4 to 5 times the losses of Bitcoin. You have to realize that. And look at this. What's going on here? That doesn't look good. Almost hit that pole. Oh, speed limit. All right. So I figured that was good enough. 4 or 5 times leverage. But then next week things went up again. And it just seemed like, things were going to the moon really quick. So then I wanted to get the most leverage. Well, not the most leverage possible. Let's say I wanted to increase my leverage. So I still had shares at this time. It was like half shares, half options, leaps. And I decided to sell the rest of the shares and buy shorter dated options, which have, more volatility. They're more sensitive to price movements. The closer the date to expiration, the more the price will appreciate or depreciate in response to price action or volatility. And there's also a thing called theta, which is just a decay of the options as they near expiration date. And that theta really starts to speed up within 30 days of expiration. So none of my options are within 30 days of expiration. My nearest dated option is on January 17th. I did have some December options that I sold a couple weeks ago. That was before I even went to Ohio. So, and I sold those in profit, probably, 90% profit. So that's great. And this was a great move at a point in time, and hopefully at a point in time in the future, but let me just explain. So I guess it was around November 18th that I went all in on short dated options. I even sold my leaps and bought more short dated options, and they were in between December and I think they go out to June. That's all pretty short dated. And this is all my Roth account. And in my personal accounts, I'm not doing this. I do have like some leap options, but that's as risky as I'm getting in my personal accounts. That's basically just stock and Bitcoin, which in itself is risky enough, especially for my personal accounts, because I can't do a lot of trading in my personal accounts. It could trigger tax. Tax. I'd have to pay capital gains tax if I, sell, and it would be applied as like personal income tax if I sell it without holding whatever it is for over a year. So anything that I buy in my personal accounts, I make sure that I'm going to hold them for over a year. So 18th, I go all in, short dated options. By November 21st, I had not locked in. I wish I had locked in. I had over 300% return. I think it was like 305% return. Just from November 5th or 6th. I think it was the 6th when I did it. It was after I knew that Trump had won. So 300% returns from the 6th to the 21st. So, of course, I was ecstatic. And I think I made a video right around that time where I'm like, today was a good day. And since that time, I've pretty much, in my Roth account, I've lost all those gains. So that kind of sucks. And I still have these short dated options, with the nearest one being January 17th, that I need some positive movements again with Bitcoin and MicroStrategy to be able to deleverage myself, sell these options in the profit. But those dates, it just adds on the stress. Even though I have the confidence in the long-term appreciation of MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, I think long-term, both of those things are going to appreciate a lot. I think that MicroStrategy will be a $1 trillion plus company probably within 10 years. But I don't have 10 years right now with my options. I've got till January 17th on my nearest dated ones. And that's crazy. Especially when things aren't going your way. So there was a saying, like, if your profits are big enough to want to take a screenshot of them and post them on social media or send them to friends, then that's when you should be locking in some profits and selling at least a portion of them. And I knew that saying. And there was tons of euphoria and greed and on X. And I'm in some groups where I'm following MicroStrategy groups, and everyone's just like, oh my God, it's like getting so incredibly bullish, where it's like, this is going to 1 million tomorrow. So then that reminds me, in hindsight, I wish I'd really thought of these things at the time. But at the time, I'm thinking, it's gone up 50 to 100% a day in the past few days, when up to the 21st, that I'm thinking, this is not going to stop. And it did. It slowed down. And with options, the price doesn't have to go down a lot. Well, MicroStrategy price spiked up to $540 maybe. And now it's fell back down to $360, somewhere in that area. And then my options fell 300% in response to that, where Bitcoin really hasn't came down that much. Bitcoin went up to 104,000 And now it's dropped down to like 95,000. So that's not that bad. And oh my God, I just noticed. Look at this. The street is now open. People are driving down it. Pretty cool. Now I have to wait for this crosswalk. That'll be nice for driving. So yeah, now I'm back to where I started. And if I would have just held on to the shares that I had, well, if I'd just held on to the Bitcoin that I had in there, that would have been still up a lot. And even if I had held on to the MicroStrategy shares, that would have been up like twice as much. But I got greedy, which is the other saying that I was going to say. Is when everyone was getting so euphoric and, so excited, I should have recognized that as, everyone getting greedy. And there's a Warren Buffett saying is, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. And that is a great advice if you can actually follow it. Because when you're in the moment, you're being greedy, and you don't really notice you're being greedy. You're just so bullish on the price movement that you think nothing bad could possibly go wrong at any time, where it does. It always does. Nothing goes up forever. So, eventually I was going to sell all these options, and the plan was just to sell them before it was like 30 days out, before I got within that 30-day window. And with my December ones, I did manage to sell those with good profits, but it didn't make up for all the losses that I've taken since then. And I don't have losses right now, but if MicroStrategy keeps going down and Bitcoin keeps going down, which I don't believe it will, I could have complete losses in my Roth account. So, it's kind of scary. Although the money that I have in my Roth, I was prepared to gamble with it, and I don't really need that money. That's money that I couldn't touch for another 15 years anyway. But it still don't feel good when you're seeing a big number with 300% gains in your account, and losing money, no matter how much money you have, sucks. Even though it's really not it doesn't affect my plans. Let's just say that. But it would affect, like if I would have cashed out with 300% gains, that would have, made my retirement more luxurious. Right now, I'll still be able to retire, most likely in the coming year, and be able to retire comfortably. But, with those 300% gains in a Roth, especially if you just took that 300% gains and cashed out all the options, put it into a nice, slow-growing portfolio of like 5 to 10% a year in the next 15 years, that'll grow a ton. And it's, not that risky if you construct it well. Something like the Golden Butterfly portfolio is a good one. Or the Weird portfolio is another one I've seen recently, is a good one. And then I had my own construction because I'm not big on bonds. I think bonds are a losing investment at the moment because the US dollar is just depreciating. Keep printing more and more. So I'm going to try to keep bonds out of any portfolio that I make in the, probably ever, and put assets like gold and Bitcoin. I still think gold and Bitcoin deserve to be in a portfolio. Bitcoin's very volatile. If you didn't want to have huge swings up and down, you just have a few percent, and that would help boost your returns over a long period of time. I need a drink. I guess this is just kind of a warning about how options, especially short-dated options, can rip your face off. Which I was well aware. There are people that were going into this that had no idea what they were doing, which it looks like I don't at the moment, because I was getting greedy. Should have locked in some profits, but I just thought, the bull market has started and we're going to the moon for the next 12 months. But along the way, there are dips, and those dips can wipe you out if you're highly leveraged, especially if you're borrowing money to buy options, and that's nuts, because then you could have you don't only have the expiration dates on the options to deal with, you also have a leverage that can be called if you lose too much money. Whoever you borrow the money from, like Robinhood or Fidelity, they could do a, what's it called? Something call. Basically saying you have to sell shares and lower your leverage because you get over, like on MicroStrategy, it's 70%. You have to have 70% actual your own money in the investment. I think that's how it works. I don't work with leverage, so at least on borrowing money type leverage, I am using leverage in these options, which I understand more. But what's that called? That's driving me nuts now. It's something called. Alright, let me see. Gotta ask Google. What's it called when a investment platform can ask you to sell your shares to pay back leverage that you borrowed from them?
Leverage trading is a type of investment that involves borrowing money from a brokerage firm to increase your buying power. This allows you to invest more money than you would otherwise be able to, which can
Margin
potentially
call.
amplify your returns.
All right, I don't need it. It's called a margin call, which was at the bottom of the paragraph that it was going to read back to me. Let me see if I can get this locked back on me. So yeah, you can get a margin call when you're borrowing money from like Fidelity or Robinhood. If the price drops too much, you can do a margin call and you're forced to sell whatever your investment is at a loss to pay them back. So that's really dangerous, especially with MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, because it's so volatile that, a 50% dip, even during a bull market, is not out of the question. So, I guess just to be safest, well, if you want to be safe, you just hold cash that's going to depreciate at 7 to 10% a year, although that's not safe either. You're guaranteed that you're losing 7 to 10% of the value of your money by just holding cash. So I think holding Bitcoin over the long term is probably safest because it's not being devalued over time. And over a long horizon, at least 4 years, if you could hold it for at least 4 years, no one's ever lost any money in Bitcoin that has held it for at least 4 years. But it's a wild up and down ride in between those 4 years. And it could feel, if your account gets up to, say you start with 100,000 and your account gets up to 1 million, and then it goes down to 500,000, that feels bad, even though you're still up 400,000. Just losing money feels bad. You're like, oh my gosh, I should have just sold it all when it was at 1 million. Which in my case with options, that's true. But with Bitcoin, unless I was going to make a major purchase, like a house or car or something, I would just hold it until I was ready to make a purchase and then sell it in a bull market year when it's actually up. It's a cool little patrol vehicle. So I guess I'm just feeling a little stress at the moment, even though don't worry about me, because I made this investment, willing to risk it, lose it all if I have to, which I'm pretty sure I won't. Hopefully I'll be giving you an update before June where I totally recovered, maybe even went higher than I went before, over 300% gains. But I'm not sure. No one knows the future for sure. Although I'm very confident that in the next 12 months, Bitcoin is going to have some major price appreciation. My expectation or prediction is $300,000 Bitcoin by November 2025. So hopefully some of that appreciation comes within the next few months. Because I could miss out on it if it went down until June and then just rocketed up at the end. I could miss out on all the gains, which that's a risk with options, and I was well aware of it. And also with options, it's not just the time and the theta decay. There's also what's called implied volatility, which that adds value to an option. And during this period of time leading up to November 21st, it was just a frenzy. Everyone was just buying, which made the options, the implied volatility of the options went up to like 120%, where the S&P 500 is like 15%. So it was crazy amount of implied volatility, which made the options crazy valuable. And, that was kind of just a combined frenzy of Trump got elected, Bitcoin was rocketing, MicroStrategy stock was rocketing, and people were just looking for the most leverage that they can get, like me, and we're buying these options, especially the shorter dated ones, and far out of the money. That's another thing, is I was buying like $700 calls, $600 calls, so they have to pass that strike price by the expiration date to be in the money, so to speak, to be able to exchange them for actual shares of stock, which I have no plans of exercising any of the options. Which exercising is when you convert them to stock, and you could still, even up to the day before, even if they're not in the money, sell them, but by then the theta decay will have ate most of the value out of them. So by December 17th, which is December 9th. December 17th will start the 30 days of the most theta decay on my options that are dated January 17th. So I would really like to have something happen before December 17th. And we have a lot of catalysts. That's the good news. Now the good news. If you look at MSTRMoon, MOON.com, it has all of the upcoming catalysts that can be, a big bump to the value of Bitcoin and the value of MicroStrategy. And I believe it's today, Microsoft is having a meeting and they're going to discuss whether they will add Bitcoin to their balance sheet, which I don't think they're going to do it. I think that meeting's happening right now, if not very soon. And I don't think that they're going to do it, but this is going to be a big, getting it on the record that shareholders recommended it or asked for it, and Microsoft didn't do it. And when Bitcoin appreciates, hundreds of percent in the coming years, they'll be able to go back and say, you could have done this. And the first company that actually does it, I think, is going to add more pressure to other companies to do it. I mean, as far as like top 10 companies, even though Tesla already has it, and I guess other people didn't feel pressured after they did it. But as more and more do it, it'll become more normalized, and that'll lead others to do it. And already there's pension funds adding it to portfolios, and it'll be coming into retirement accounts. I like to see it in my 401k. I would like to have some exposure to Bitcoin in my 401k because I can't invest in ETFs or individual stocks in my 401k. They just have pre-allocated funds. They do have just a plain S&P 500 index fund, which is very low cost. It's like 0.003% fee, which is nothing. And that's what I'm pretty sure I have all of my 401k allocated to that, and I have for a long time. Although there were periods of time where I was trying to time the market with my 401k, so I would get a feeling that things are going to be dropping, and I would move it all to cash, or move it half out of the index funds to cash, and let it ride out. And sometimes I've been right. Actually, more times than not, I've been right. Which was, I think, 2023, around like September till November. I was completely out of the market, and there was a pretty big dip. But the thing is I didn't get back in the market exactly on time. So I missed out on some of the gains, like in November. I think I got back in November, but I missed some of the bigger days. I still think I was better off in that case, but there were other cases where I went out of the market and it just kept going up. And then I ended up with like a 15% return in a year where the S&P 500 returned over 20%. So I missed out on some gains those years. So I think it's probably better to not try to time it at all and just, time in the market. It's better than timing the market. Because, No one can see the future. So now I'm just kind of leaving it all in. You know, I may, as I near retirement age, probably within 7 years of retirement, 7 to 5 years of retirement, I'll make things a lot less risky. But right now I'm just trying to get the biggest gains. And it's 83 degrees. It's pretty nice. This guy in front of me is walking barefoot. That's pretty hardcore. Boom, boom, boom. So I guess that's all I had to say. We'll cut through here. Trail. All the leaves are falling. So that's it about options. Just know that they're very risky, especially with highly volatile stocks. And they have added options to the Bitcoin ETFs since then. That was just like a week or two ago. They added ETF options. So that would be a safer bet than options on MicroStrategy because it's, you know, less leveraged. But it's probably safest to just not mess with options. And if you get big percentage gains in a short amount of time, lock in some of those gains. Don't be greedy. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. So right now, there's a lot of people that are fearful, especially today. MicroStrategy dropped another, I think, 7%, which, you know, makes the options drop another 70% for the day. If you're doing like, it was probably like 50 to 70% for the day. And that's a lot. Seeing dips that size are huge. And, you know, even if I did lose my whole Roth account, which I hope don't happen, I'd be fine. That's just the difference between retiring comfortably and retiring comfortably in luxury. So I can miss out on some luxurious things, which that's not the end of the world. I've not had too much luxury up to this point anyway. Oh, I guess some small luxuries. I guess having a Tesla's a luxury. And I've had some Cadillacs, and mostly with my cars. That's where I have had some luxury. Let's see how we're doing on time. We're at 2.25 miles at 40 minutes. That's actually not that fast. And I'm getting a call. Answer that. Hello, there's Jason. Yep. All right, thank you. Bye. That was an easy phone call. My prescription will be here on Wednesday. And that is for my Repatha injection. I have to deliver it to my house on ice to keep it in the refrigerator. That and the Manjaro. And that's one thing I don't know about when I retire. Even if I go to Bangkok, I wonder if I can even get those medications. And if I can, how much they would be. It's one thing I have to figure out while I'm there. It's how much all my medications would be. I mean, the goal is to keep exercising and eating better to not need these medications. But I think things like cholesterol levels, there are some genetic factors, say that. I'd say most of my issues are environmental and behavioral, eating bad things, because bad things are the things that are most easily available on DoorDash to deliver to my house, and I'm lazy. But in Bangkok, I'll be able to order, I guess, more healthy options delivered right to my door for less, so I can still be lazy and be healthy while being lazy. And just more walking in general, living in a big city. And what's crazy was I was looking at the map of Bangkok, and I've walked 10 miles in a day. Like right now I'm going to be walking over 5 miles just in all at once, so not even spread out over a whole day. Or there, my whole day could be walking places, eating, going to see something, going to an event, walking through the park, and looking at it on a map. I thought this was many miles as far as where the downtown Sukhumvit area and where most of the expats are, but 5 miles that I'm walking today, I could walk the whole strip, where I thought it was much longer. I was thinking it was 20 miles. When I actually measured it, it's smaller than I thought. So it's a lot of stuff packed into a pretty small area. So many things to do, so many activities. So that'll be fun. And let's see, I should almost be there. I should be coming up on the bridge very soon. So this was just kind of a venting, feeling a little disappointed in myself for not locking in some gains, even though I haven't really lost money yet. I could, if things kept going down, lose. Hello. I could end up, losing more than I put in, which is not the case right now. But I still have confidence that there's brighter days ahead, and brighter within at least the next 6 months. And those catalysts that I was talking about on mstrmoon.com, the first one was today, Microsoft seeing if they're going to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And then I think Friday we find out if MicroStrategy gets added to the QQQ index, and that could be a big catalyst. And I think it's on the 20th is when the actual rebalancing of the QQQ happens, and when that money will be put into MicroStrategy stock. So Friday could be a bump, just if they get added to the QQQ, people wanting to front run the actual rebalance date on the 20th. And then the rebalance date itself could be a catalyst, because they're going to have billions of dollars passive income put into the stock. And then we also need some Bitcoin appreciation, where it's gone down to 95. It needed to go up to 120. And then I'll be able to deleverage myself and sell these options. I told my mom if Bitcoin got to $1 million a coin, I'd buy her a new house. So she's rooting for Bitcoin to hit $1 million. And hello, there's some people that say that that's even possible in 2025. Plan B is one of them. Plan B on YouTube and X. He uses the stock to flow model, and he says it could hit $1 million by the end of the year 2025. And also Samson Mao, which he's been calling for $1 million Bitcoin for like 8 years now. So his prediction I don't really take too seriously. But I mean, really all it's going to take is a nation state that prints their own currency to start printing their own currency and buying Bitcoin with it. And that's when things get really crazy. But will that happen before my options expire? That's the question. But I would say even if they don't, that's probably going to happen eventually, and maybe sooner than we think, especially with Trump. If he's that bullish on Bitcoin that he'll actually sign that law that Cindy Loomis is proposing to buy 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years. I could see that happening. And if that happens, a lot of other countries are going to do it. And then Michael Saylor had made another suggestion, which like China and Russia, they've been buying up tons of gold over the past few years as they're trying to get this BRICS thing going to where they don't have to buy and sell with the US dollar, and they'll have their own trading system, I guess, and it's backed by gold. But Michael Saylor said if you really wanted to hurt them, you'd sell all your gold like in the Fort Knox and buy Bitcoin with it, because that would crash the price of gold, and it would let me get you off here. Take this off, set you down. So it'd crash the price of gold, and it would send the price of Bitcoin to the moon. Let me get this. There. Pardon me. Getting this bag off, I need a bag with a better latching system. Because this one is not quick and easy. Not a quick release system. It has like a little wire. I'll show you. There's a little wire you pull back and a hook, and then that little hook latches around this little fabric thing. And I mean, it's just not easy because it's hard to get it off there, especially when you can't look at it directly and it's below your big gut. That makes it even harder. All right. Well, that's enough talk for today. But good news, my personal accounts are up very large. I think in the last 3 months, I'm up over 80% in my personal accounts. And my personal accounts are much larger than my Roth account. So I'm fine. This was a mistake, but it's not like a life-altering mistake. Well, I guess it is life-altering in the fact that I could have I could have lived a little bit more luxuriously, especially after I was 59 and a half years old. If I would have locked in some of those 300% profits. Oh well. Hindsight's 2020, and I still have the opportunity. It's not over. It's not like all the options have already expired, worthless. I still have until June. I think it's my longest dated option for big things to happen, and for me to next time actually lock in some gains. So I got here and the sun's actually higher than it was. It's only 4:40. When I'm actually working, I usually don't leave until 4. So I left a little earlier. And it took me 49 minutes to get here. 2.84 miles. So once I get back home, it'll be over 5 miles. And that's a good day. And it's pretty easy. So, and it's pretty easy walking it like all at once with, one little rest in between. So walking it when it's like spread out over a whole day will be nothing. I'll probably be able to walk like 20 miles in a day when I spread it out over a whole day and night. We'll see. We'll see what my longest walking days are in Bangkok. All right, well, that's all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. You probably didn't. But if you did, then let me know in the comments, because that always helps boost my self-esteem and my willingness to actually make these videos. Because instead of talking to you guys, I could be listening to like music to help soothe my soul. But I do think talking actually is very helpful too. Talking to you guys, talking to the camera, it almost has the same effect of going to a therapist and talking about things that are stressing me out. It helps get them out in the open and get them off my chest. So I am feeling a little better. Still stressed out, but I do feel a little better after talking about it. All right, that's all I got. So I'll talk to you later. Take it easy.